from the 3rd chapter of Lamentations, verses 22 through 29. The steadfast love of the Lord never ceases. His mercies never come to an end. They are new every morning. Great is your faithfulness. The Lord is my portion, says my soul. Therefore I will hope in him. The Lord is good to those who wait for him, to the soul that seeks him. It is good that one should wait quietly for the salvation of the Lord. It is good for one to bear the yoke in youth, to sit alone in silence when the Lord has imposed it, to put one's mouth to the dust. There may yet be hope. And the gospel reading from the 5th chapter of Mark. When Jesus had crossed again in the boat to the other side, a great crowd gathered around him, and he was by the sea. Then one of the leaders of the synagogue, named Jairus, came, and when he saw him, fell at his feet and begged him repeatedly, "My little daughter is at the point of death. Come and lay your hands on her so that she may be made well and live." So he, Jesus, went with him. And a large crowd followed him and pressed in on him. Now there was a woman who had been suffering from hemorrhages for 12 years. She had endured much under many physicians and had spent all that she had, and she was no better, but rather grew worse. She had heard about Jesus and came up behind him in the crowd and touched his cloak. For she said, "If I but touch his clothes, I will be made well." Immediately her hemorrhage stopped, and she felt in her body that she was healed of her disease. Immediately, aware that the power had gone forth from him, Jesus turned about in the crowd and said, "Who touched my clothes?" And his disciples said to him, "You see the crowd pressing in on you. How can you say, 'Who touched me?'" He looked all around to see who had done it, but the woman, knowing what had happened to her, came in fear and trembling and fell down before him and told him the whole truth. He said to her, "Daughter, your faith has made you well. Go in peace and be healed of your disease." While he was still speaking, some people came from the leader's house to say, "Your daughter is dead. Why trouble the teacher any further?" But overhearing what they had said, Jesus said to the leader of the synagogue, "Do not fear, only believe." He allowed no one to follow him except Peter, James, and John, the brother of James. When they came to the house of the leader of the synagogue, he saw a commotion, people weeping and wailing loudly. When he had entered, he said to them, "Why do you make a commotion and weep? The child is not dead, but sleeping." And they laughed at him. Then he put them all outside and took the child's father and mother and those who were with him and went in where the child was. And he took her up by the hand and said to her, "Talitha, come," which means, "Little girl, get up." And immediately the little girl got up and began to walk about. She was 12 years of age. At this moment they were overcome with amazement. He strictly ordered them that no one should know this and told them to give her something to eat. May God bless to our understanding the reading this morning from God's holy word. One of the main jobs of a clergy person is to teach resurrection. And this is not a class that you take in divinity school. There's no such thing as Resurrection 101. I think you have to learn that on the job. Over the years of serving here as your minister, I've gathered on occasion with ministers in Windham County, the United Church of Christ ministers on occasion. Sometimes we gather frequently and with regularity, and then other times we'll go for periods and not see each other. But when we gather in person, we drink coffee and we eat donuts. And we talk about our churches. We talk about the people we serve and the people we love. Last time we met in person, which was a while ago, one of the ministers shared this, that there's a person in his church, the church that he serves, who loves the church. And this person loves the church, and the people in the church love this person. I'm going to call her Jane for the purposes of this story, but I actually don't know her name. And my colleague said that Jane loves the Sunday school in their church. And her deep love for Sunday school means that she has a pretty clear idea of how Sunday school should go, what it should look like, how it should be organized. My colleague said that Jane's love for Sunday school and clarity about how it should go, these ideas are so deep that there isn't much room for any other ideas or different approaches. And my colleague said, when he says there isn't much room for, what he really means is there isn't any room for other ideas or different approaches. My colleague said, I can't stress enough how much she loves the church and how much the church loves her. What a joy, he said, to have someone love something so much that they only want it to be the very best that it can be. And yet, this leaves no room for different ideas or thoughts. My colleague sharing this story said that he thought that Jane was unable to back off from the Sunday school program, unable to be open to different ideas and other people, because he thought maybe she wondered, how could she fit into the church? Where else might she be able to use her time and talents and energy? How else might she express her love for her community of faith? He said to us, it's as if she doesn't believe that if she steps back, someone else will step forward. It's as if she doesn't believe that if she lets this go, something else will come about. Some other way for her to give to the church, to love the church, will become apparent. It's as if she doesn't believe that God will open up a way. It's as if she doesn't believe in resurrection. Another colleague of mine said, that's our job. Our job is to help people believe, to believe in resurrection, to believe that God will open up a way, to believe that if we step back, any of us step back, something else, someone else will come forward. Or if we step forward, God steps forward with us. It's our job to help people believe not only in the resurrection, but in the tiny and not so tiny resurrections that we see and live and long for each day. That's our job. At least that's what we can do and should do and might do. So we all nodded in agreement and grabbed another donut and decided that our titles could be, instead of clergy, minister/resurrection encourager, or minister/resurrection promoter, or minister/repeater of this line, there may yet be hope. In the passage that I read from Lamentations, there is just this marvelous phrase, there may yet be hope. Into all the wonderment and worry and fears of our lives is this line, there may yet be hope. It's human nature to cling to what we know, what is tried and true. But here it is again, there may yet be hope. Lamentations is a book in the Old Testament, in the Hebrew Bible, and we don't hear from Lamentations much in the 3-year cycle of readings that comprise the lectionary. And the book of Lamentations is just what you think it would be based on the title. It's 5 chapters of lament, of sorrow, sadness, gnashing of teeth, some wailing, The laments are about the destruction of Jerusalem and the destruction of the seat of Jewish worship, lamenting God's wrath, lamenting their loss as a people and as individuals. There may yet be hope. Part of the lesson for this morning. Now, I want to say that stories from the Bible can be very splashy, very larger than life. Often they seem perfect for movies on the big screen with powerful, loud music. And the two stories from the Gospel of Mark fit this bill. They have a larger than life quality. The healing of a woman who had hemorrhaged for 12 years by the simple touching of a cloak. And the healing, the literal, according to the biblical account, the literal resurrection of the daughter. Dramatic, larger than life. The destruction of Jerusalem in Lamentations. Wow. And the good thing about biblical stories is that they are larger than life and they evoke a wow reaction. But the bad thing sometimes about biblical stories is the very same thing. They're larger than life. Larger than the pain and sorrow that we might feel over letting something go that we deeply love, like Sunday school for Jane. And it's hard to put that up against the destruction of the temple or the healing of 12 years of hemorrhaging. One colleague says that miracle cures are bittersweet at best. Some biblical stories portray and lift up the power of Jesus' love and the miracle of Christ's presence. But as you and I know, it doesn't always happen like that. Disease does not always go away, and people we love are not always restored to health. But I think that the larger-than-life aspect of big biblical stories is meant to evoke the wow reaction. For you and I to know and see and believe and cling to that sometimes miracles do occur. And for you and I to know and believe and cling to that always Jesus' love and presence is larger than life or death. Biblical stories and the wow reaction is somewhere sort of here on the experience scale. And then at the other end of the experience scale, if you will, is my colleague's story, Jane's story. Jane's worry and doubts and fears about how she would plug into her church. And my colleague's words again, it's as if she doesn't believe in resurrection. It's as if she doesn't believe in the possibility of God working. It's as if she doesn't believe that there may yet be hope. Part of a minister's job is to teach resurrection. Part of a preacher's job is to invite the congregation to do something. So here's your invitation for doing today. Try being in a middle place. Try being somewhere between the wow of a biblical story and the inability to see anything new that perhaps Jane was experiencing. Try balancing those two. Try saying there may yet be hope. When you go home in your day and your week, try repeating it over and over. There may yet be hope. There may yet be hope. Try whispering it when you are afraid or sad or scared. There may yet be hope. As we are learning to do and be church again in person, it is a good phrase to keep in front of us, to whisper, to shout, there may yet be hope. On the cusp of our month of welcome home celebrations, wherever you are in your life, whoever you are, try saying it, holding on to it, believing it. There may yet be hope. There may yet be hope. Surely after 12 years of hemorrhaging, it was a phrase that the woman in the gospel clung to. And that the grieving father, what else could he have said or thought as he put his faith in Christ. There may yet be hope. There may yet always and forever be hope. Amen.